All right. Hi there, everyone. Good morning once again. In our previous topic, we already discussed about the algorithm. What is algorithm? Again, algorithm is a step by step or a finite step by step of process leading to a solution, which means that in every problem there are certain algorithms that are used for solving that. So again, algorithm can be anything. It doesn't have to be formal. It can be pseudocode or it can be flow charting. Okay? Remember that when we talk about solving a particular problem, there are actually a lot of solutions to that. Example, as I've said, example we have there are many ways on how to cook an egg, right? So you can cook an egg depending on what dish, no? You can cook an egg like pwede siya egg omelette. Okay? And there are certain steps. Okay, there are certain steps that you need to follow cooking an egg omelette. Another is boiled egg. Although it is that simple, but there are again also certain steps that you need to follow. Okay, so shall we say you can be called as a master chef, especially no, you can be called as a master chef if you are actually if you can actually provide uh, parang different dish or dishes of an egg, no? Pwede siya sa ganinang sa mga other ano sa mga eggs, like pwede na 'to himuon out of an egg, fried egg, sunny side up, unsa pa? Saya, scrambled egg, hard scramble, naday hard scramble, napoy soft. Unsa? Oh, hmm, naay egg with unsa na, eggplant, egg with, potato, oh, daghan kayo 'no? Okay, so daghan kayo og mga pwede nimo buhaton sa egg basta out of an egg daghan kag pwede ma-provide. So that's how you can be called as a master chef if you can actually if you can actually like come up with a lot of parang dishes out of an egg. So in the same way manner sa programming, you can be called as a good or a great or a master programmer if you are able to provide many solutions to a problem. Okay, so let's take back again the terms pseudocode and flow charting. So in terms of algorithm, there are two ways you can actually do. First is the pseudocode. So when we talk about pseudocode, it's just an informal English-like statements which you just need to follow. So this one can be written in an English or written in a pwede Bisaya, Tagalog, no? It can be written to anywhere. Pwede sa basta masulatan, no? Pwede siya papel lang, pwede sa bond paper or whatsoever. So example, we want to solve or we want to add two numbers. Okay, so this is how pseudocode. So let's say for instance, so pseudocode. So informal language. So step one. So sa may step one in ang ato ang problem is let's say problem na to adding adding sorry sa YN adding two numbers. Okay, so mao na to ang problem, no? Example, wala ang ato ang ano ani is given that computer does not know how to add how to add two numbers. Of course, our computers do not know how to add two numbers. Okay? In a similar ano po manner like kanang mga kindergarten or kanang mga 2 to 5 years old na of course no mao na sila ang mga kailangan na tudloan og adding two numbers. So if we are going to create an algorithm for them to make them add two numbers or to teach them how to add two numbers. This is how we do it. No? Like step one. So may step one. So step one in adding two numbers. So imagine na, okay, imagine na ang inyong tugtuan is mga kindergarten, mga toddler. Okay, na anak. Sige, imagine. Unsa man yung mga sa step one ninyo for that, no? Sige daw. Can you create your own algorithm? Okay, what's the first one? Okay, sige. Pwede na take two numbers. Very good. So, pwede pod mo take first number, second number. So, pwede ka ngayon take two numbers. So, pwede pod na dili take, pwede input two numbers. Okay? So, probably this is the input. Okay? Because you try to like something identify two numbers. Okay? Step two. What's step two? What's step two for you? For you, how about para sa inyo ha? What's step two for adding two numbers? Why do we arrange from lowest to highest? No, I mean, for what is that for? We are just going to add two numbers. So, pwede but does not necessarily mean na I need, no, it's not necessary. So sige, what's after taking two numbers, what do you do with the numbers? Very good. Add these numbers. How this kid know na mag-add siya by pwede tama yun by taking first number. Siyempre, siya kabalo unsay ano no first number, and then by taking first number as your first number, and then unsay sunod operator. What's the operator? Pwede na maingon plus your second number. So isn't it something na a kid can follow? So taking the first number, using this operator, then second number. Okay? Sige. And then step 3, okay, step 3 or wala na? Pwede na. Okay. Show your final answer. Ningon na ang bata i-follow na niya ni. So take two numbers. So you take two numbers. Kumaingon ng kids, I have 3 as my first number by following the pseudocode and then 4 by as the second number. So you have the first and then the second. Add these numbers by taking first number plus second number. So meaning you will follow or you will use certain operator or arithmetic operation. So pwede pa nimo ano ang arithmetic na add operator, no? So like i-insert ba nimo sa step 2, so assuming na they have already prior knowledge on the arithmetic operators. So of course, they already know what operator is going to be needed here, no? So you have 3 plus 4. And then after that, you come up with or show your final answer. So by adding the first and the second number, you will have 7. So as easy as that, no? Pwede mo siya i-ano as pseudocode. So again, because it's just an informal language. But then again, this is just too simple, no? It does not need to like have a formal instruction. But this is how it works in pseudocode. This is how you do it in like pseudocoding. Okay? Any question? So now, if you don't have question, let's proceed with the the flow charting. So what is now flow charting? I don't like here in Jamboard. Mas okay na dito sa whiteboard sa Microsoft. Anyway, so flow is smooth ang writing. Flow charting. Flow charting uses symbols, okay, geometrical symbols, and okay. So in in instead of an English like statement, you use this symbol to create algorithm, to create steps. Okay, so let's first determine muna unsa na mga symbol na sila. Okay, first is oval. Okay, this one denotes start of the program. Okay, it's not a program or basta it's a start of how it's, of course, flow charting has start and end. Okay, so again, flow charting has start and end. So it has to kabalo siya dapat kano sa mag-start and then kano sa siya mag-end. So this one denotes start and end. Okay, this symbol denotes start and end. Next, okay, this one is, what symbol is this? Parallelogram, no? So this denotes input and output. Okay. Right. So if you're going to like invoke something like an input or an output, you use this symbol. This is again parallelogram. Okay. Next is you have this symbol which is actually used for decision. So if naa siya involved na decision making, like if you do this, you go it should proceed to this one, to next step. False, it should proceed to the next step. Okay, so that's decision. Next is we have process. Okay, the square, a square rectangle is it denotes process. So this involves or includes calculations. Okay, mga calculations like ato mag-add ta, no? Diha nito nagamiton ang process. Okay, so naapod tay this one. This is the part of me I don't want it without. This is display. If you want to display something. Okay? Next, napo tayo mga certain symbol na in flowchart na tayo symbol na gina-follow. So this one is an on start connector, on page rather. On page connector. So kaning on page connector, if na kay flowchart and then you are creating a flowchart and then you have only one sheet, no, and then you have something like this one is A and then it's not going to fit in just one page, in this particular, because you already reached the bottom, pwede ka mo adto dire like it ano kag arrow like this one is A, so on page connector, so you have hit A, so meaning mo follow mo ano siya dire, ano siya dire after, no? So naapot tayo ginatawag na off page connector. So this one is off page, and there are actually a lot of symbols that we could use, but these are the basic symbols na pwede na that we are going to use for flow charting. So mao na mga symbols, please familiarize and if possible memorize these symbols. So let's go back to adding two numbers na pseudocode, i-convert na to siya into an algorithm. Okay, so let's say for an instance we have here. Okay, so what do we do is we are going to ano with the start. So you do something like start. Okay, so by the way, I just forgot one thing, no, one parang one symbol. I'm sorry for that. There is this what we called this is initialization. Okay, sorry for that. Initialization. initialization. Okay. So you put something here if you want to initialize your like your variables, or because again, if we talk about number, it must be initialized clearly. Okay. So we can actually do something initialization or not at all, but it would be better if not a initialization. Let's say for an instance, you have what they call this one. You have so add mag-ano ka no, two numbers. So let's say for an instance, num1, okay, and then num2, okay, and then probably you have another variable which is initialized to 0. Okay, so this is 0, and then this is where initialization comes in because you initialize what sum, okay. Next is we have, so by the way, this should be an arrow. Okay, next is, or it doesn't have to be like arrow talaga, but pwede siya in ano. Okay, next to that is by following the pseudocode that we just created earlier. So nanakay taking two numbers, then we just include another variable to store the added two numbers. And then this time we have the process. The process, if you invoke calculation within your parang algorithm, so this is like sum is equal to num1 plus num2. It does not fit. Anyway, so basta, okay? Lapas na siya gamay. Num1 and num2. And then after that, okay, I'm sorry for that. I just missed the inputting of numbers. So first is, ayan, di na nato na i-close. Di na to siya kanilang atong i okay, so let's say, go back na dire. Dire na lang nato ibutang. O kailangan na kay input. Okay? So take input, okay, num1, num2. Okay? So meaning you are going to take or input num1 and num2. So wala na labot si sum because you don't take the input from sum. After that, it will now proceed to this one. So if possible, please just make this one and just put this one right here, and then continue the a certain step or continue the arrow. Only that I just forgot the input and output for this one. So I input num1, num2 for this one. Okay, so you have now input num1 and num2, and then take that two numbers, sum it, and then assign it to sum. I mean, add it, and then assign it to sum. So this time, the last part is display. So you can use this one, okay? Pwede na you, okay, and then like you do something like display. Okay, if you want ma-display sum, yeah, si display sum. Or you can actually use this one. Okay, pwede ni siya kasi display man po ni siya. Okay, display. This is the new, actually the new one. Okay, display sum. Okay, pwede siya like this or pwede this one. But I would recommend para there is a distinction between input and your output, is it would be better if you use this one. Okay, so you can use actually this one. This is equivalent to this one, ha? Okay, and then of course after displaying, it is the end. So kasi ang algorithm flowchart has start and at it has end. Dili pwede, no? Dili na siya pwede walay start or walay end. So that's how algorithm is I mean that's how flowcharting in that's how we create flowcharting. Okay. So now, how do we convert this into programming? From this algorithm, from there, no, na natay from pseudocode going to following a certain flowchart, and then you have here flowcharting, okay, and then that's equivalent to the informal, I mean the pseudocode that we have created earlier. So let's now convert this into programming. Okay. So in programming, this could be like this could be, since we are using C++, we can actually convert this into C++. And of course, for us to convert this into C++, we have to know the language. First is like for an instance, let's say this is a program na ta, no? Okay. Let's say for an instance, this is int main. And then after that, so you have to declare first two numbers, like int num1 and num2. Okay, so by following this algorithm first, I mean this initialization, and then after that, int sum, you have 0. So I just put like 0, I mean, yan lang ako siya glayan ang 0 ha, because that's para dili mo confuse na it's O or 0. By the way, that's how programmers write. That's how, para mainan mga programmer ni siya, it's you use this one, kanang inaani oh, kani. Tangin nyo na ng 0 kasi na-confusion between O and 0 sa writing. Okay. So after that one, okay. So this is something that we miss yung program, pwede na we automatically nag-input output lang ta, no? I mean nag-input lang ta nam 1 nam 2, but this is considered as like input output already. So it's like pwede ta na mag in C++, you this is the input, no? Cin like num1. Of course wala man tay ano lain, no? Okay. And then this is the first num of Cin na siya, Cin lang na siya. And then num2. Okay, and then follow the sum is equal to num1 plus num2, then C out. You like display sum. Okay, so and then close. Okay, by following this one, this is now a program. This is an equivalent of what we do here. Okay, so what I'm trying to elaborate here is that when when there is an algorithm present, as a program, and all we just need to do is follow that algorithm. Okay, and then when we follow that algorithm or certain flow charting, it can now be converted into a programming. So pwede siya into Java, pwede siya in C++ or any programming language. But of course, these are just parang minimum, no? Parang minimum, like minimum requirement of how, I mean, yeah, this is just minimum. You can actually do something like, you can actually, what they call this one, include some more here. Like, pwede nimo siya if walay, like, you don't have something like here na, enter two numbers or something like input two numbers. Instead of, if let's say for an instance, mabutang tag inana, okay? So like for an instance, butang ta. So input two numbers lang, no? So ato siyang butangan o display. So let's say for an instance, display lang. So pwede natin siya sumpayan like sangyana ha. So pwede nimo ni siya gamiton ang kanina symbol. Kapangit sa drawing. Okay. For a while. Okay. So, okay, so let's say for an instance, input or enter two numbers. So this is like display. So because this is display, right? So pwede nimo na siya i-include, i-connect nimo siya here and just do something like C out here. So enter or input two numbers. Yan. So nakay input two numbers na display. So it's important also to let the user know what the user should do. Okay? What he or she will do. Kasi it's like giving an instruction on what he or she will do. Kasi if you don't put a display or something like an instruction on what he or she will do, ang mahitabo is that unsa akong buhaton if mangay lang kag input without actually, yeah, programmatically is in program na kag input but you don't actually include it in your program asking for the inputs. Like input two numbers. Mura good sa imagine lang good na nakay login. Okay, login ano na nakay button dira na login, nakay button dira na cancel and then username and password na nakabutang dira. Although kabalutan na username and password na siya but what if walay nakabutang diri na label that you need to input username and this one is password or something like ay nakabutang rin na username and password is giving the user an instruction on or a label on what he or should do. Mura kung sa like sa biodata, no? So ang biodata na ay nakabutang is it unsay una first name ba, middle name, last name, first name, okay, then followed by middle name or last name or other way around, last name, first name, middle name. Tapos magkahuman na siya age. Okay, para kabalo siya unsa iyang ibutang dira. Okay? And like sex. Okay? So like in ano sex no? Lain man kung sex kay ano pwede mangud siya instead of male and female basin ibutang niya dira 3 times a week. Joke lang. Okay, I'm sorry. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. O pwede na male, female. O dili to ha. Yeah, no? That's sometimes the appropriate way is mas okay gender. Anyway, naman ko na gender of nouns and basin man ko ibutang diri no 3 times a week, 5 times a week. O yan. Sorry ha. Sorry. Joke. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so going back to our algorithm right here, kasi mapauta. So, pwede po na instead of displaying sum only, pwede po na mabutang kag see out the sum, something like display. So, the sum, depende na sa programmer. The sum is like sum. Pwede po din na iyang pagkabutang. Like, instead of sum directly. Okay? So, pwede na klaro or clear diri ang pagbutang nimo. The sum is or just say display sum. Okay? So, that's how you convert now an algorithm or a pseudocode into a programming. Okay? So, sir, which part there is katong mga libraries? So, kailangan natin libraries for that. So, I'm gonna show you how to convert this into a working program. Kasi, this one is, yes, working program na ni, but we would like to see, sir, if unsa siya, like, now we would like to see ang programming side. So this is now what I would like to show you. Let's just use the online compiler. Okay. So this one, the tag online compiler. Did you guys see it? What I'm typing? Wala. Can you guys see it? Okay, good. Okay. So let's just choose this one, online C compiler or C++. Dapat C++, not I guess this one is C++. So, okay. So na siya is STD. By the way, STD is para di mo ma-confuse, that's like standard standard input output. So STD stands for standard. Okay. Anyway, so you have here, let's say for an instance, this is a program, simple program, which displays hello world. As you can see, you have the name here is main.cpp. All right. So by the way, this one is what we call, I am saying earlier that these ones are libraries, no? Okay, this is an example of library. Iba part sa pre-processing a C++ program is natay library. So natay i-link sa atong library because if you don't include this one as your library in your program, okay, this would give you an error because you don't include a library for that. So in fact, it will give you an error. It's you cout is defined in the header IOStream. Did you forget to include? So that's why kailangan na to siya i ibalik to siya because that's the library. So sharp include IOStream.h. By the way, this is what we call header or a library header. Okay, or shall we say preprocessor directives. Okay, preprocessor directives. Okay, so you have here a header or a preprocessor directive. So, sir, well, how will we know that this particular cout thing is we are going to use a certain library? So of course, that's what this course is all about. I'm gonna give you more and more of this one. Anyway, so when you get to run that, you are going to display hello world. Now, uh, let's just follow let's have the previous, what you call this one, our algorithm earlier. Let's say for an instance, by the way, instead of STD, let's try to do something like using namespace. Let's say if this one is still going to work, namespace std. Kasi instead of displaying or following std, that's std colon colon cout, you can actually, sige ha, ako sang i-remove na siya. Control X, and then let's not put std something that cout and something like that. So mag-error siya. So you have to have a standard declaration. So let's include using namespace std, okay, and then we remove the std thing there. So yeah, it's now working. Okay, so this is for because this is like you're telling your compiler that you're using standard library for C++. Okay, so this time we are going to declare variables now. So we have int num1. So, di ba, num1 to itong include ganyan, num1, num2. And then, pwede po nimo siya ibutang ang sum there as 0. Or, based sa to ang declaration ganina, you have here sum is equal to 0. But then again, it depends to you, no? Kung sa inyong pattern. And then, this is what I told you about what if wala output. Sige, example lang, we don't include this one. We just go directly saying like cin num1 and cin num2. And then sum equals num1 plus, okay, and then after that, cout the sum is like that. Okay, so now let's run the program. What happened? Okay. So, see na to ko lang. Yan. So this is what I told you about that. You if you don't include something like what the user should do, or at least an instruction on what the user should do, like instead of like no, like ako, no, wala ko idea on what this program would do, so I would rather enter anything else. So like in my case, since we know that we are actually going to accept two numbers, which are 3 and 5, so happen. Okay, so nato balik. Cout, enter two numbers. Okay, let's run again. To enter two numbers, 3, 5. So the sum is 8. Yeah, no? So enter two numbers, 3 and 5. The sum is 8. So that's it. 5, 6. the sum is 11. So now this time it's very clear what the program should do. It's like enter two numbers. Pwede kayo mabutangan like enter two numbers and I will add them, or I will tell you the sum, or I will give you the sum. Pwede mo siya ibutang as like mag-sentence ka dira. Okay? So do you follow? You guys understand? Hello? Hello? Okay, so ayun, that's it. So yeah, so it's almost 10. That would be it for now. And